What's up, everybody? It's the Arty 84 show here with Adam Mallet live from our quarantine locations. This is episode 164 on the fine, what's today's date? The 6th of January, 2021, first show of the year for us. And not much has changed since March. So it's, everyone thought like once 2021 happened, the light switch would be, and everything's back to normal.
No, I remember we were saying that the media couldn't even give us a one full week of enjoying the new year before they hit us with trying to stir up fucking pandemonium with like the new COVID strain that could be in the United States from fucking South Africa. That our vaccine might not. Like, just
isn't that awesome? Doesn't that really like make you like excited about life? It's like
I'm starting to hope that asteroid hits us in 2060. I really am. I'm starting to hope.
So as we report live here on the show, there's chaos in DC, and it's chaos, and people want to blame one particular party or another, but it's basically chaos every time there's a protest. What have we learned from the last 9 to 10 months in this country? Every time there's a protest, it ends up being a riot at the end, no matter if it's for the Democrats protest or the Republicans protest, and at the end of the day, there's a fucking riot, and just go. But it's not people. But the sad part is, and I truly believe that the people who are causing all those ruckus towards the end, right, on both sides, aren't the people who were their intent was to protest peacefully. I think it's just like there's these radical groups that take advantage of the situation, and it's for both. Both. You know, you can go have your friendly Black Lives Matter protest and everything works out great. That's fine. You have the freedom to protest and do what you want. I don't care. That's fine. But it's like at the end, right? It's like all of a sudden chaos happens, and it makes one side look worse than the other. But it has nothing to do with the people that were originally there. These mobs of like Antifa and like these homegrown terrorist groups and stuff like this that come in and just cause the trouble and make shit look bad for both sides. I mean, both sides look bad. I mean, it just sucks.
It takes away from like we were talking about before the show, saying like it takes away from focusing on other problems that are going on, because now like attention has to be focused on that when really the world has so many fucking problems right now, and we're too consumed with attacking each other. It's like realistically, it's like there is going to be a new fucking president. They should be getting ready to work together to handle, like, it's a matter of national security, exchanging files. Like, these are things that kind of have to happen.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's just it's a problem that there's all this resistance and turmoil. It's like, can't we all just fucking work together? It's like fucking annoying.
I mean, when you look at it, we've never, I don't know in past history, it's been this divided since the Civil War, 150 years ago, right? But what happened? Two sides were divided. I still believe that this country will divide within the next 50 years. It's inevitable. I don't see us being able to maintain on the path that we are in this mindset, right? I mean,
when that happens, though, I wonder where the line is. I don't think it's north and south anymore.
No.
It's more like where is the lines cut?
I honestly think it's more like territorial. Like you got to remember. Shit's been bad for a while, but it hasn't been this bad. And then 9/11 comes and we kind of get united, right? We're all living up this Americana for 5 to 6 years, and then it burns off around 2007, and then it starts fading away slowly but surely. So either the country needs a really, I hate to say it, like a terrorist type attack to bring everyone together again, that many lives are going to be lost. And I don't even think the country will come together for that, to be honest with you. If you had another
temporarily,
for
like a week.
For a little bit, yeah. I mean, because you see cities come together for a little while, like when you have like the Boston bombing and then like the shit that goes on everywhere, like hurricane happens, and I feel like it's less and less happening. And to be completely honest with you, I don't have the hope or the faith in this country that would be able to come together to. There would just be people blaming each other, and that's unfortunately the situation. But like you said, like how would the country divide? I think it's going to be sectioned. I don't think it'll be just two countries. I think there'll be portions of the country. I think Texas breaks off, to be honest. I think the whole West Coast breaks off into their own little shumbop, right? I think with Texas, you're probably going to get New Mexico and probably Arizona to pot with them, right? And then you're going to have the whole Southeast. I think the entire Southeast may be its own little thing. I think Florida might break off and be their own place. I think it's going to be like Europe, how you have so many little countries into the big continent. Whereas, I mean, it's going to happen. You're going to have New England and New York and New Jersey, those people that we're going to break off over there. it's just going to be it's going to be like when the USSR broke up in the early 1990s, right? You had Russia or USSR at the time controlled all these, individuals, and the United States controlled all these states. And then finally they just said, fuck it, and they just break off. And it's terrible economically because now you have certain parts of the country that are really good at, like, say, farming, right? The Midwest. Well, you can't farm in New England. So how do you negotiate that there, right? Well, the coast is very important for trade and commerce, right? So how's someone in fucking Oklahoma, how are you going to communicate and get goods from another country or anywhere from so it's going to be very complicated. The country will be very, very, we'll be almost a third world country, I think.
What happens with education? It's like, what if you live in Texas and want to go to school in Boston?
Yeah, you don't.
It's like, what's going to happen?
It would be exactly like how if you lived in Russia or you lived in France and you want to go to school in Italy, right? Maybe maybe it's called the North American Union, where all these individual countries are all in the same union. But that doesn't even work because look at Europe. UK just broke away from the European Union the other day. So it doesn't really matter how you cut it or shave it. You know what I mean? I just think the country's too big to sustain. I think we're so behind the 8 ball right now with everything. And like you made a good point about how other countries are just fucking barnstorming us and we don't have a fucking chance because there's people who are supposed to be in charge of this country in both parties who basically care about themselves more than anything else. And I mean, it just shows just look at they tell people you can't go eat somewhere, right? But then you see these politicians eating at restaurants. And then when they bring it up, they're like, oh yeah, sorry. But it's like, you gotta do what you preach. You know what I mean? It's just very, but what are we going to do? Sit there? We're just taking it in the ass. There's nothing we can do about it.
Have you read, I mean, and now is the United States has never been more vulnerable, really, right, than right now. And remember I was saying the other day how we were attacked by Russia.
Yeah, I was reading into that.
Did you look into that?
Huge. What a fucking blummet that was. Like, what was I don't know what department in the U.S. Defense controls hacking, but they were definitely taking a nap that day.
Yeah. It's like 18,000. Let me see. I'm trying to pull up the thing.
You got to be careful. So you got to be careful too with this country too, because people are so divided that like something like that happened. Someone who wanted them to hack us could have just let them hack us because they believe in one party or another. Isn't that? It's very dangerous. You know?
Okay. I love this. In a joint statement, the intelligence bodies say. Now this is from the BBC, so this is outside, which is probably more reliable. Okay, yeah. So. In a joint statement the intelligence bodies saw, they currently believe fewer than 10, so that could be 9 or 10, U.S. government agencies saw their data compromised.
Nice. And I actually believe that. I've been reading a lot of overseas.
SolarWinds was the company, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've been reading a lot of what I like to do is I like to read like Australian news and UK news and other European
see what's going on.
Because I think they give a broader perspective, like because they have no dogs in the fight. You know what I mean? So for them, it's like, who fucking gives a shit?
All right. So I will say this, Arty, and I was teasing this kind of before the show. I was saying that there is something in the coronavirus bill that I am very interested in.
Yeah.
Okay. So buried within the bill's 5,600 pages are a number of laws with little to do with the coronavirus pandemic, including one requiring the U.S. intelligence services to submit an unclassified report on UFOs to the Senate Intelligence Committee within 180 days.
Nice.
And the report must include a detailed analysis of unidentified aerial phenomena, data and intelligence reporting collected or held by almost all of the country's intelligence agencies.
Yeah.
I am stoked. Although that doesn't mean we're going to get like, I have a feeling we're going to get like 30 pages and like blackout, 4 words, blackout, blackout.
Yeah. Well, you know, what's funny too. It's like, obviously like, so this means that either there's something going on, right? I mean, maybe there isn't, because how many people have gone into space, you know, and wouldn't you think you would see something when you're up there? I don't know.
Well, some have. Yeah. Some astronauts have.
And then I guess they're afraid to say stuff, right? Because they don't want to be like, you know, they'll just get rid of them. I know pilots have seen stuff, and like only a few pilots will say anything, but there's got to be shit flying around up there, right? I mean,
But I think that's interesting. I think that's very interesting.
I think it's a good money. We have a special guest tonight, a friend of ours who comes in all the time, Kacy G. Let's bring him in right now. Let's see. There we go. He is, I'm sure he's all fired up by the events of today. There he is. This is his usual.
There he is with those photos in the background.
Remember I was telling you about the painting that was in the back? Mr. Kacy. Right. Can you hear us, big guy?
Kacy? Oh, he's still connecting.
Look at that beard. He's growing that thing out. He's starting to look more like an author, like every day. More and more like an author.
He is. He really is.
Kacy, how you been hanging in there?
Just working.
Yeah. Well, I remember when you came on the show, I would say 9 months ago or so, right when this pandemic started. We thought this was going to be a temporary event, and here we are, the first of 2021, doing exactly what we were doing, 200 and something days ago. So.
Yeah, so that sounds about right. What was that? Springtime? Aprilish?
Yeah, Aprilish. So you were sitting on your porch, so it had to be nice enough to be hanging on a porch, I guess. So,
Arty, if you're looking for a diversion, Massachusetts lawmakers want to name an official state dinosaur.
That's fucking awesome. What do you think? What would you, if you were to pick a dinosaur for the state of Massachusetts, which one would you pick, you think?
Well, I mean, the thing is, it didn't really look like that, but I would go with the Jurassic Park version of the Velociraptor. I mean, you got to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even though they know they didn't look like that now, but you got to.
Would you base it on like state size or like, because the raptor, like Massachusetts is a small state but very powerful, so a raptor would actually fit quite well when you think about it, because it's a smaller dinosaur but very powerful,
So apparently State Rep Jack Lewis tweeted Monday that he plans on following the legislation on January 15th, adding that the effort is a good way for children to learn about the legislative process.
Okay. Boring.
I know, right? Like,
I mean, don't we already have a cartoon of that?
Yeah, it's like that bill. Like, this is how a bill starts. And the bill dancing on the street. And you hear the bill. And you give up a doop-a-doo of the Mr. Bill.
People are dying. Let's talk about dinosaurs.
I actually know a guy. I won't say his name, but I partied with him many of times. And what'd you say?
Who's Bill Clinton?
No, I wish. That would be a hell of a party. Me and Adam were talking about what he does with cigars the other day at lunch. No, he just was elected to a state rep position in Massachusetts. I'm not going to say what district, where it is. If you know me, you may know who it is. I'm friends with him on Facebook, and I got to say, he was a former school committee member for his district. We would drink. He used to drink very heavily. He would do some crazy things, and now that he's representing his district in Massachusetts, it just goes to prove that anyone can be a politician. So he was like when I first met him, probably a decade ago. I looked at him, and when I knew he looked like a politician right when I met him. The way he talks and he kind of like his charisma and stuff. He's a very nice guy, very sociable, But it's funny that you have these people elected to positions that you just know what they used to do. It's just terrible stuff sometimes. I mean, just imagine if I got elected for anything. You guys would just have to go up to like 15 years of this podcast and see all the terrible things I had said.
No, I can make a lot of money holding shit over your head.
Well, that's why I'm in the nation of just letting it all out. I would just put it all out there. I'd be like, here it is. I'm sorry if I offended you. You know what I mean? I mean, Kacy probably has enough stories of me just working at the restaurant to fill a book.
Yeah. Just like the time he almost got me killed at like 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah, I almost got us hit by a gas truck going through Bell Circle in Revere because I was not paying attention. I somehow stopped. I blew the red light, but then panicked.
You parked in the middle of a two-way highway.
Of
traffic on the opposite side of the road, like in between.
Yeah,
this 16-wheeler just come barreling around at like 1:30 in the morning, honking its horn.
I was very tired, not paying attention, and that was the last time Kacy asked for a ride home.
I don't think I asked for a ride home. I just accepted it.
Yeah, I guess you just I that was a scary night. That my little Honda Civic would have been destroyed.
Yes, it would have.
Worse condition than it was already. Fucking crazy.
It goes to show you that no matter how tired you are, sometimes even coffee won't wake you up.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
You know, cocaine maybe though. See,
So you walked right through the hotel, grabbed a cup of coffee on the way out, drank it.
Yep.
And it didn't wake him up.
Do you know I missed that about this COVID thing? The free coffee at the Comfort Inn. So I used to at the end of my shift, I would go through the hotel and go, bullshit with the hotel crew for, a few minutes and make myself a free cup of coffee because they had complimentary coffee in the lobby. And I used to go throughout my shift and go over there and grab a coffee or two and grab one on my way in. So I used to get like 3 coffees from them. It was decent coffee. It was very tasty.
Their coffee was better than ours.
It was. I guess they still have the coffee, but you got to ask the people at the front desk. And I only know people at the graveyard shift at this point. And then, so it was kind of like my rhythm was broken. I got to wear a mask and, but that's what I missed. I used to go over there, make myself a cup of coffee. I'd bullshit with the staff a little while and go along my way. It was very nice.
One of my favorite memories there, apart from the cutout where you thought I might have lost it. And next story, I promise. But I was like hosting at the same time. I think I was like doing like graveyard shifts, working security at Cambridge at the time.
Yeah.
I was doing a hosting one time. I was just like nodding off at the host stand. I was taking a takeout order from one of the flight attendants. And I forgot how we ended up talking about it, but we ended up talking about coffee. So I took her order in, and she went back upstairs, got changed, came down,
Yeah,
and dropped off a cup of the hotel at the Comfort Inn's coffee for me as I traded her her meal.
She a flight attendant? Did you get her room key too?
No, I didn't ask.
No.
You know me, Arty. I would never ask.
Sometimes they just give it to you. I mean, there's been times where,
I mean, I've gotten phone numbers before.
I know.
They ended up in the trash before I leave.
Cocksmith.
The restaurant. But, you
probably could.
I've gotten them before.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Isn't that the greatest when like a chick is sitting there and you work and she just slides it across the table? You don't even have to ask. It's just like, well, then. Okay. Like the hotel key gets slid across the table and you're like, oh, all right.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm not about that life.
Yeah.
I don't know where you've been.
You're a good Christian boy, and we can't take that away from you.
Yeah, you've tried. Dave's tried.
Yeah.
Jessica has tried.
Jessica sexually assaulted you or sexually harassed you? What would you call it? She exposed her titties to you.
Titties?
While we were working in the back room.
Who?
You may have known her. She came on many pub crawls with us. Remember the chick who came?
Oh, I know who you're talking about. The one who couldn't get into the club because she didn't have her ID?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. She slept with Danger Powers, allegedly, I guess. I hear. But yes, one day
Rest in peace.
She was obsessed with trying to make Kacy over here go to the dark side. So she came into the kitchen one night and she exposed her titty cockers to him.
And all I'm doing is just trying to wash dishes.
That's all he was doing. And he got a whole bunch of D's in his face.
I don't want any of that. Like, you don't roll your own silverware anyways.
No, you're probably the only dishwasher in the history of dishwashing. Never had a waitress come over and just drop her tits right in front of you.
Probably.
I mean, hey.
I don't know why. I don't exactly have a face that a mother could love.
She was obsessed with corrupting you. You could have, I mean, you wouldn't.
There are numerous times. There were numerous opportunities. I said no to all of them.
You could have.
Why? It's just, I mean, just out of curiosity, I'm not judging. I'm just curious. Why would you say no? Just, I mean, we're all men. We all have urges. We all, we were in a relationship, and you just didn't like her.
I have my own moral compass.
He's a very good Christian boy, so he believes in what he believes, and he can't take that away, I guess.
You're stronger than a lot of us. I'll tell you that. Then.
You just changed your name to Dirt Diggler?
Yeah, I did.
He did.
Hey,
That's Matt. We work with so many Matts. It's kind of hard to.
I know.
It's just like, you only get one Arty, and there's like 6 or 7 different Matts that work there over the course of 7 years.
Did you Adam, just side reference, are you wearing a Jurassic Park shirt because you were going to bring up the
That's what it looks like.
thing? Is that, or just a coincidence?
He changed it while we were talking.
Yeah. The best news I got today
Scrupulous things.
was I got my Lego catalog in.
It's a Boogie Nights reference.
It is. Oh, yes. And so speaking of dinosaurs, there's a new Lego set coming out, which I'm very excited about. I don't know if you can see this, but it's a dinosaur skeleton set. And
A little bit.
It's gonna be. It looks like a Triceratops and a Tyrannosaurus Rex, and it's like supposed to be like a museum skeleton, like you would see like the bones in the museum.
Yeah,
it's gonna be fucking awesome in my amusement park. I can tell you that much. Like that's gonna be fucking pissa. But that was the highlight of my day. Coming home, well, of course, seeing my wife and kid was also a very nice part of my day. But then coming home, and I got my Lego sets that I ordered on New Year's Eve at 2:00 in the morning, or I guess New Year's Day at 2:00 in the morning. Every year, Lego releases on January 1st a bunch of cool sets, and if you don't get it on January 1st, you might have to wait 4 to 5 months. And I was talking to the guy at the Lego store this weekend, and he told me the reason is because half the staff at the factory in Denmark is been laid off because of COVID, so there's such a demand. So I went on at 12:00, New Year's Day, and they crashed the Lego site, and I'd fallen asleep. And I happened just to wake up at 2:30 in the morning. And when I woke up, I was like, let me try. And I tried and got my order in. Yeah. So I'm very excited. I got this set right here. It's the Lego Police Station. Oh, it's fucking crazy. I can't wait to build this. You know what's funny, too? I want to mention, and you may say one way or another, but I do believe that social media does control what accounts get more activity than others.
I would say probably,
regardless of how many followers or you have and stuff. And the reason I think this is a problem, or not a problem, but just the situation, is because on my Lego Instagram, I mean, I'll post a picture and do the proper hashtag and get like 100 likes, right? Out of 1,000 followers, which is pretty good. That's like 10%. But on our Packy Instagram, well, we have like double the amount of followers, and I post something very topical with the hashtags, we only get like 3 or 4 likes.
It could also be, I think it also could be because to how, if you're putting something out that's topical, it kind of gets lost in the shuffle. But if it's like Legos is kind of a niche, like there's not a lot of people, like I feel like you're more likely actually to get maybe something with Legos because it's not like there's as many people clogging the filter.
It could be. I mean,
That's
yeah.
I
mean, there's the content, the actual.
Well, we have a lot of not anti-Biden stuff on there, but some like jokey stuff. Like normally, like people would make fun of like the press, like you make fun of like people of power joking around with like flops they do and stuff. I mean, we have a couple on there, but like I don't know if Twitter's that important on the Packy with a small little organization we got going on here that they give 2 fucks about. But who the fuck knows? I really don't care. But it is what it is. I'd be curious though to start like a clone account of it and not post political stuff and see if I get the same traffic posting the same stuff. You know what I mean? Out of curiosity, it might be interesting. I'm done with politics though, and I know we discussed it briefly in the show, but but I don't think we're discussing politics, more or less just at current events in the world right now.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
But I'm done with the whole rooting for one guy or another. It's exhausting.
It's tiring.
Well, it is, and it's like people have their ideas and they have their guy, and then people always want to change it, right? So, like for example, right? I'll use Kacy as an example. He's a hardcore Democrat, and he's so left. He's a Bernie Sanders, this is totally fictional. This has never happened. But just let's pretend that Kacy loves Bernie Sanders, and say I love someone so like right wing, like Adolf Hitler, right? He was very right wing. He really wanted shit done correctly. And then me and you have a conversation with 2 totally different type of politicians, and we'll just argue for 5 to 6 hours because we're just trying to, why our person's better than the other. But like, you already made your choice, right? So like, why bother fucking arguing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like when you go home and your wife says, you forgot to take the garbage out today. You could sit there and make 20 excuses why you forgot to take the garbage out, right? Or you could just sit there and accept it. Like, yeah, I forgot to take the garbage out, and I'm sorry. And just leave it at that. Conversation ended. And then you saved 5 hours in a fight. You know what I mean? And I found that way, like, with politics. It's like when you discuss with people, like, I never like to discuss it at the bar when I worked because it was a very awkward situation because a bar is a very communal place and you have people sitting all around it and people pick up on other people's conversations. So you don't want to you want to kind of tame it because you don't want to piss off someone sitting over here and someone sitting over there, but you want to kind of keep that shit. So dude, even with sports too, I've always tried to be like referee of sports, and like, because like someone comes in and they're like a diehard Yankees fan, but you have some fucking townie sitting next to you wearing a Sox sweatshirt and a Scully cap, like myself. You don't want to like irritate them, you know what I mean? So it's like, you got to be like, but I think politics are a lot more deadly to talk about when you think about that, right? I mean, I don't know.
It really, honestly, it really depends on who it is.
Yeah.
You have, the extreme left and the extreme right. They're going to believe what they're going to believe anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually the people in the middle, the Democrats and the Republicans who are in the middle, mindset, that are capable of having their views altered when you give them like something new to think about, something new to the table.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah.
Those are the people that you can really have a reasonable discussion with.
Well, with that statement, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I agree with you 100%, 110%. But I believe that, wouldn't that call for a third party? Like, wouldn't you want a party with those mixed people, like those ideas, like a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B, you put it together? Because listen, I'm conservative, but I don't, if you want to have gay marriage, that's fine with me. I think legalizing certain drugs is fine. I think of on a very liberal ideas, but like when it comes to like politics and stuff like that, I'm very conservative about spending and the way things are done, and there's a process and stuff. So I would consider myself a middle guy, right? I would almost consider myself a I don't know, would you call it a moderate?
I don't know what you are already. Actually, you definitely are way more conservative. You're a passionate man. I'll give you that.
I do a radio show where we talk about dick jokes. If I was so conservative, you know what I mean, I wouldn't be able to do this. You know, like I like people to have I like freedom. How's that sound?
Yeah.
I like
freedom.
I like freedom. I like to be able to do what the fuck I want to do, as you can tell. And as you in this show, we talk about stuff, then, but I also like some kind of control. I don't like freedom's great, but like, it's, for example, right? You're dating a girl and you guys go out all the time and go partying, but she doesn't think twice about running up her and maxing out her credit cards every weekend. And you're like, whoa, all right, we're having fun, but there's something that happens at the end.
Yeah, that's perfect, actually. Yeah,
so it's like, you want to go party with someone, have a good time, but you want to be conservative enough to know where the limits are and be like, all right, let's go. So instead of like, let's go fly to Hawaii, you'd be like, let's just go drinking down at the bar and have a good time instead. And you find the happy medium, right? But I feel like most of this country is like that. And so, like, wouldn't that call for like a third party just to be like, hey, listen, I'm Mr. Moderate. Like, I'm a little bit of column A, I'm a little bit of column B. Hey, take me home.
The problem is we have too many of those third parties to jump on the bandwagon.
I agree with that.
That's kind of, I mean, in my humble opinion, may I crucify myself online, but one of the states that I can't think of, was it Michigan? Trump lost because there were like two third-party conservatives who were running, and they made the difference between. I think it was Michigan.
Yeah,
where like Biden won that state.
Yeah. I know what you're saying. Yep.
And so we have them. The problem is their ideas are. I don't want to say like too different.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It's not. You still have the two major wheelhouses.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, a lot of the mindset is, well, we could start this, but then if we have the same types of candidates that we had in, like, last election, which I still wasn't too happy about, the feeling is, well, I need to be behind this bandwagon because I don't like this bandwagon.
Yeah.
And me voting for this bandwagon is not me voting for this bandwagon.
Voting
Me
against.
voting against the other bandwagon. So
How do you want your shit to smell?
Yeah.
Pretty much it.
It's
so
basically,
you have
yeah.
that issue itself that, you know,
I mean, that's kind of how Trump got elected the first time, because people just had a hatred towards the Clintons. You know what I mean? And there was enough hatred. They didn't vote for Trump. They voted against Hillary. And I think this time around, people didn't vote for Biden. They voted against Trump. So it's like, well, something's wrong with that picture, because people aren't voting for the person they want. They're voting against the person that they don't want. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. You should be.
That's the problem.
Crazy.
That's the problem. You should be voting for the person that Jack Neoff.
Fucking insane.
Fucking changes names. No, but like that's like the root of the problem. Like, so how do you change parties, right? So you go back in time. We used to have the Whig Party, right? And then we had the Democratic Republicans. That was one party. The Democratic Republicans versus the Whigs. And somehow down the line, the Whigs disappeared, and it just became Democratic Republicans that then split into Democrats and Republicans, and that's the way it's been. So what do you need to start a successful party? Like, I know right now it's all controlled by money. It's all controlled by corporations and who's giving them more money. It's really kind of like, they say it's a democracy, but it really kind of isn't, because the 1% of the major corporations kind of control everything, which is like, what are you going to do? Take it in the ass? I mean, there's nothing you can do about it, right? There's no way you can stop these big corporations to get involved in politics. It's impossible. They pay 6 figures for lobbyists to sit at DC all day just to get their shit passed. I mean, there's nothing you can do about that unless you got rid of lobbyists. And then good luck with doing that, because how are these politicians going to afford to run, because these big corporations are going to have the money to give to them because they don't have the lobbyists. It's a vicious circle. So it's like, I don't know. It's kind of a lost cause. So I guess the question is, how do you start a successful third party? Because I'd be interested in getting involved if you want to stop.
Too. I mean, there are, and yeah, they just kind of sit there on the bill, and they're just kind of like, vote for them in case you don't want to vote for anybody else. But yeah,
like half-asses, and you're really just taking votes away from other people. That's all you're doing. You're really not voting for that third party too. It's like, oh, I don't like either candidate, so I'm going to vote for the third party.
That's what I did.
Which is fine and everything, and that's your right to do.
That's exactly what I did.
Wait, it's not like you're voting with the hope that they're going to win. You just vote.
No, I know. You're just voting. I'm just at that point. I'm just more interested in like the questions, and.
I mean, I don't know. You got to get a corporate sponsor. Amazon's going to sponsor like the third party. Like, no, would be a good president. I think would be like an Elon. What's his name? Tesla guy, Musk. What's his name?
He would be a good president.
Elon Musk.
Yeah. I think he'd be a good president, because he's kind of a very smart guy. He invented many, many important things that we're going to be using for years to come. And he's a no bullshit kind of guy too. Look at what he's doing in California. He's moving his company from California to Texas, because California's like, well, you guys can't operate. And he's like, well, fuck you. I'm a huge company. I bring a lot of money into the state. I provide you guys with a lot of jobs. And now you're kind of, strong arming me. I'm just going to go to a state that appreciates my help. So he's going to fucking Texas.
That's true, but I would need to know more about who he surrounds himself with too. We don't know if he knows anything about budgeting, or if like good people around him know all that kind of stuff.
Because when you're dealing with the CEO, they know how to manage things.
Yeah,
but they're still like pretty far away from the fine day-to-day operations.
You need like a CEO and a COO and a CFO, someone who has all those responsibilities, who knows knowledge of all 3 aspects of a major working corporation. Because you said a CFO is a good figurehead, right? They're the guy that you look to. They're the president, right? And then you get the COO who controls all the money, but like they may or not know how to control the company, right? So they just know that, all right, we have budgets, we have to, and stuff. And then, it's a very, I don't know. Fucking the fuck do I know? I'm a guy from Revere who sitting here on a Wednesday night. I have 2 buddies in front of a camera drinking some Samuel Adams.
Ran for office.
Yeah, I ran
for you.
Well, there's only a matter of time, Kacy, till I run for political office here in my fine town of West Newbury, Massachusetts. They haven't seen anything yet. I'm going to put it that way. But here's the problem, and Adam, I think we agreed when we talked about this earlier, a couple of days ago or weeks ago, about how when people run for political office, they actually have the intentions to do good things in the beginning, and then they kind of it gets dissolved with power and money.
They realize they have no wiggle room. They're kind of at the mercy of a bigger machine. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you just picture like you worked, and that's kind of like that was kind of like the romantic part about like Trump was, because like he really had no political affiliation. He really had no, like, no one could really, he was already a billionaire, so no one really could pay him off, right? So that was kind of like, ooh, okay, look, this guy's like a regular Joe who was working, but in the end of the day, he was just a businessman, right? And so
Sure.
it's like he couldn't be influenced by anyone, because like what the hell is he going to care? He leaves the office in 2 weeks, he goes off, and he's still a billionaire, right? He still owns tons of hotels and properties, and he's still conducting business all over the world. But it's like, it's almost like when you get broken up with a girl, and it's like, but you know, you're a hot piece of ass. Like, you're a guy, you're like one of us, we're hot pieces of ass. Some girl's like, I don't want to go off anymore. You're like, all right, well, fuck you, right? And we're just gonna grab another broad. You know what I mean? Like, I'm still hot, right?
Yeah.
It's not like we're fat and we're ugly and we're like out of shape and no one likes us, right? People love us, you know?
Yeah. They're like throwing themselves at us. You know?
Look at Kacy getting numbers thrown at him, and he's just throwing them away. Like, that's like fucking like, yeah, I don't need your fucking number. I'm just gonna throw this away. But like, picture like, but so like that doesn't matter to Trump. Like, he doesn't care. A month from now, he's just still gonna be a millionaire. He's still gonna go to Florida, and he's still gonna play golf. And he's still gonna rub at arms of celebrities and shit like that. And so it's like, whatever. Like, I don't even know why you would want to run for president if you already had his power. You're already living on top of the world. Now you just like pissed half the people off in the country for no reason. You know what I mean? It's like we all like watch the Kardashians, but we really don't give a fuck like what happens to them. Like, I don't know, fucking, they're entertaining. Like, you hate them, you love them, but like, you know, I don't know. But like, if one of them ran for president, then half the country would just hate him. You know what I mean? Like, I could give two shits, right? If like, if Kim came through my bedroom door right now and sat down with us and decided to talk to us, I'd be like, yeah, that's cool. You know, I mean, whatever. I just hate her because, you know, I think a lot of us just hate her because they can go and spend all this money and do all this fun shit, and we're stuck working at shitty jobs sometimes behind a desk. And, you know, that's kind of like, it's more like a hatred because you're jealous, more than a hatred because you hate what they do. Because like, what did they really do that's really that hateful? Really nothing. They just go and take pictures and shit like that, and it's like, well,
they do nothing.
True.
That's what's the hate.
That's why we hate him, because they get paid to do nothing. And like, wouldn't we all? I mean, other than Eric Powers, who gets paid to do nothing 6 months out of the year. I mean,
yeah, but he's dead.
Kacy, funny that you said that. I did text him. Well, I did Facebook message him because he doesn't get text messages. He hasn't responded. But he good news, Adam.
He's dead.
He just
dead for weeks.
So something happened. Something happened with him, and I don't know how this works.
Okay,
So
I'm listening.
I guess he was put on someone's plan. He was put on like an AT&T plan, right? So he was given a number.
Jesus, more phone shit.
But he has no phone. He was given a number, but has no phone to operate that number. Because he said to me, he's like, do you have an old AT&T phone? And I go, no, why? He's like, well, because I was given a number. I just need to activate the phone. I go, how does that even happen? How do you get a number and not have the phone to go inside with a number? It's not like they're just giving numbers out. It's like, we just bought a number?
I have never heard of that. I think he misheard them and doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
My mind exploded. And
can you get a phone? Googling this.
Companies come after dead people.
The best part is we're on his network, on the rocks, right here on Facebook broadcast live today. And we've actually produced more shows than he's actually produced on his own network. So very ironic. Is it possible to get a number and not have a phone?
You can get a virtual phone number. I mean,
no, but but the way
like
he
an app on your phone.
Yeah, but the way he just
exactly.
you need the phone to work the app.
Yeah,
it's a little catch.
Unless he has like an iPad or something.
Yeah, no, he misheard because all I'm seeing is shit for like Google Voice, kind of like what I have, where it's like you have another number that's like connected to your phone, not like an actual. He's retarded.
So maybe it was.
And you see, Adam, this is why he's dead.
Maybe someone put him on a family plan or something, and he hasn't really or told him it's the case. I guess that's the situation.
They must be taking his loss very, very hard.
You know, we weren't invited to the funeral or the wake or anything, too. You know, you were freaking him out that night too. He was probably talking for half hour after the show, he was walking around. He's like, I'm afraid to drive home. I might die. I'm like, well, according to Kacy, it's tough for you to die twice if you're already dead. So
he doesn't have anything to worry about. He's already dead.
it's fucking crazy. So it's what was it? We're the first. So I was supposed to be told by now. I think within the next couple of weeks that we're going to make it to Lego Masters TV show. So we should know within a week or so. Kacy, I told you I tried out for that show, right? Did we talk about that?
I don't think so.
Me and Eric, the dead guy, we had a Zoom interview with the casting director. God, what was that? Like 2 months ago, at least.
Yeah, let's say about 2 months.
It's like late October, early November, and they interviewed us, and I think we did fairly well. I think Eric did fairly well considering sometimes he goes a little crazy sometimes. When I remember one time me and him were at an interview for a radio station back in 2009. We were on Cyber Station USA out of Quincy, Massachusetts, and we went in to talk to the guy about bringing the show live on the air. And he was just rambling on unnecessarily about stuff. And I was like, well, I don't think they're going to pick us to be on this network. And they did. And later we found out that the guy running the network was a kitty toucher. So, I mean, everything worked out at the end. So, he's a fucking weirdo, the guy. He used to take pictures of kids in their underwear and sell them on the black web.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, in Japan, they do that not even on the black web. They just put them in vending machines. You can buy them on the street.
Would you?
Well, speaking of Japan, they also have transparent outhouses, apparently.
That's interesting.
I believe it.
They're an interesting country, the culture. I think culture was though. I think I was going to try to say culture and country, and they said couple. When did they become so twisted with their sexuality stuff? Was it after like what? Because
it's been a while. The only reason I know this is because I took a Japanese art history class in college.
Mm-hmm.
And so actually most of the stuff that they have, like if you go into like their museums, most of that was actually taken from Korea. Okay. So they were, they were like the samurais, the ninjas, they were the mercenaries, they were the pirates of Asia.
Well, because they owned the empire, right? So they had the whole Japanese empire taking over all the countries and stuff, right? I mean, that was the idea.
No, they were like they had like their own country. They had their own dynasty.
Yeah, I know, but they so like you said, they took stuff from like Korea and stuff. So they took stuff from all around.
Basically, what would happen is Korea would reach out to Japan and say, "Hey, we need your military help. We'll pay you."
Okay.
They come over to see. They vanquish their enemies. They take their stuff.
Yeah.
And then they come back.
So like
they bring like Korea's art from the people that they killed back to Japan.
So the vending machines with underwear in it came from South Korea?
No. But there were other things that, was specifically Japanese. So they did a lot of like board work. So they had like these like shingle like woods where they would like do art on.
Okay.
And I think that's what you're referring to with the whole sexuality thing, and that's where
they have a lot of like niches, I guess you'd say, or like categories of like the animation porn is very interesting. Like naked cartoons.
You would hone in on that.
Well, I don't find it arousing or intriguing. I just find it very interested that people would, use that as a visual cue to pleasure themselves with. You know what I mean? I just couldn't get off of looking at like cartoons. Like remember when we were kids and they had Roger Rabbit and they tried to sexualize Jessica Rabbit as this like.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I remember that.
And it's like it was an attractive looking cartoon, but like that's where it ended, at the image of it being a good looking cartoon of a person, but like the sexualization of it would kind of just not exist because it was an inanimate object, and like you could kind of separate yourself from that. Now if they made like Jessica Rabbit was like like say Mariah Carey in her prime, just kind of prancing around, then you'd be like, I get sexualized, that guy, it's a human. and I could actually have physical sexual contact with her, other than a cartoon in which I cannot.
No, I
Just
was never into cartoons or the anime stuff.
no,
Or
it's very
no.
odd, and but some people are, I guess, and it's
Yeah, a lot of people are. I don't get it, but hey, to each their own. Like I always say, you know.
very interesting. I mean, I guess we would have to bring someone on who's into that. Like my cousins are into, and one of my cousins is really into like Japanese animation, like the cartoons and stuff. Not the pornography part of it, but just like the storylines and stuff, you know, which is kind of cool. That I mean, it is a little, it's different. It's a lot different than like Disney.
That's true.
It is. I actually watch quite a bit of anime. They are very good storytellers. They do own their craft. One of the big ones, they're owned by Disney, which I'm not like a huge fan of.
Yeah.
It's like the Miyazaki films.
Okay.
You have like The Spirit of the Way. That's probably like the most renowned one. Howl's Moving Castle. Those stories are just like rich in the storytelling aspect of it. Obviously, you get some of these like weird mainstream ones, like you have like Naruto, which if you watch the whole thing, like you'll eventually get to the point where it's like I'm just watching the same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Obviously, the stories are a little bit different, and it's very rich in the character development. But ultimately, it's like a repeat of the same story, but that show is terribly long. So
when you think about it, isn't Disney like that too, though? Isn't all their cartoons kind of the same storyline? There's always a bad person, there's always a hero, and there's always like a princess that's in need, right? And they all kind of.
There's a couple of nuances, but that's when you get the whole Disneyfication of your classic fairy tales that was much better than the retelling. Like Little Red Riding Hood and Rumpelstiltskin, who ripped himself in half in the original fairy tale. It was the original fairy tales were always better.
Yeah, I guess.
But I think what Disney tried to do was just romanticize everything with the fairy tales, which like there wasn't that much of romanticizing within all those fairy tales.
Which makes sense. I mean, 'cause that's what sells. Love, hate, and desire sells, right? And your little girls want to be that princess, and young boys want to be that prince, and there's always that evil person in there that's always standing in the way. And it's
Eric.
It's like Eric, yes. He's like Mustafa, right? And Lion King. But if you look at all the movies and you broke down like a plot, right? A really generic, like kind of like synopsis of each movie, basically it would almost all be the same. Like there was a bad guy, there was a good guy, there was a princess, but like but sells, it's a good combination, right? And all you gotta do is kind of they did such a good job of like making certain characters and stuff, making everything specific to that movie,
so
right?
You retell it in a way that seems different enough that it's almost unrecognizable. So you'll have The Lion King. Let's pull those two.
Okay.
Lion King 1, Lion King 2. Lion King 1 is Hamlet. It's Hamlet from Shakespeare.
True.
And Lion King 2 is Romeo and Juliet.
Wow. Shit. Yeah. When you think about it,
That's literally what it is. I remember I was doing a doing a book review for an independent author. I'm like reading the book. I got through like the first couple chapters of it, and I DNF'd it, which means I did not finish it because it was basically just like it wasn't well written or well realized to begin with, but it was basically a D&D concept of the retelling of the Hamlet.
Interesting.
And but it wasn't told in like a way that was compelling, nor was it told differently enough that led me to believe that it's not the Hamlet.
Yeah.
Within the first couple of chapters, it's like I already know where this is going. This is just the retelling of the Hamlet.
Which, I mean, it isn't a bad idea when you think about it. I mean, Disney obviously made bajillion of dollars doing it, and it's fucking good marketing, I guess. The marketing department of Disney is is pretty good. But Disney's kind of like on a down right now for movies because, like, remember, like in the old days, you had the classic Disney movies when we were kids, and like, you know, they were, you know, from the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. They all kind of, and then there was like this dark age of Disney movies where you didn't have much, and all of a sudden, I think it was like what Little Mermaid came around in like the early 90s, and all of a sudden the renaissance of Disney kicked back up, and they were basically, like you said, telling old stories, but adding, you know, lovable characters to them to make people interested in them. But then Disney has a great thing where they have like the Disney parks, which is their marketing. So all they have to do is they can build rides based on particular characters. And then they can revampish rides. And like, for example, like in Epcot, like in Norway, they had the Norwegian boat ride, right? That went through all of Norway. But then Frozen came out, which takes place with a Norwegian princess. And they revamped the ride to be Frozen themed. And they did that with like they're doing that with like all their rides. Like they'll like Ratatouille, right? The France Pavilion never had a ride. Now they have the Ratatouille ride because it was a cartoon that took place in France. I mean, that's marketing genius right there. Why the fuck haven't we thought of this idea? Where can we get 7,000 acres of land to build an amusement park?
Because we don't have
money helps.
I think we could get the money. I think if the three of us went to like a bank and be like, hey, listen, we need like, I don't know, like $20 billion. We're about to start an amusement park here in Northeast and New England. Would you guys be interested? There's plenty of land in Maine. We could have the biggest amusement park in the country.
But the issue with that is like you can only be open a certain amount of months a year because
dome.
The dome. Well, so it'd be like what was that stupid water park? Okay, something Keys. The stupid indoor water park.
It's still there.
Just make sure to buy a mountain.
Yeah.
And then you can go skiing.
Cocoa Keys.
Keys. Cocoa Keys is still open. At least it was until the pandemic hit. I don't know if it's still open.
I don't fucking know.
So that's what we do. We just tell them we want to build a dome. No, but on your note of indoor water parks, I was watching this thing on YouTube. They were like going through some abandoned water parks and stuff. So the water park concept kind of freaks me out anyways. I get claustrophobic in the tubes. That's so much the gross part, but it's more of a claustrophobic thing. Like I'm in those tubes, I get very claustrophobic. Now, when you put those tubes in a building, I get very claustrophobic. Like, for example, in a movie theater, right? Big open room, and they had the ceiling tiles. If a ceiling tile was missing in a movie theater, it would freak me out because I don't want to see what's in the ceiling. I would psychologically be very uncomfortable during the movie and have to sometimes leave.
I've actually been hit by a falling piece of tile.
That would totally make it even more freaky right there. Because that would, to me, that freaks me out. Like being able to see like the darkness of the ceiling and not be able to see if anything can come through. And if I'm in a water park and I'm not high up.
Black mirror experience.
Yeah, it freaks me out, man.
Yeah.
I don't like water parks because I don't care how much chlorine you put in that water. It doesn't change the fact that all that water has touched everybody's asshole.
Mm-hmm.
Including your own.
Yeah.
Including my own. And everybody else's.
You drink that water too. It goes in your mouth by mistake. You know?
Yeah.
It's like the bar of soap in your house when you're growing up, right? Everyone in your family wiped their ass of it. And then you go washing your face of it.
Well, even more disgusting. Remember when you were a little kid, we all ate icicles. We've all picked up an icicle when we were a little kid and ate it. Yeah. Do you know how much bird shit is in that? Because it usually forms off of houses. You're eating a lot of bird shit.
Yeah, it's true facts. It's good for our immunity, though. None of us have.
Yeah.
Well, Kacy,
there you go. Yeah.
Kacy, did you officially have the corona, or did you not get the corona?
I did have the corona.
You have the corona, okay.
We all have the corona.
I was gonna say the whole house got it, right? Yeah, you guys all got it.
The whole house. We did have one cousin that didn't get it, but we think that's because he already had it back in March.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would you think that? And I know you're not a doctor, but what do you feel about
medical advice?
I'm asking for more of an opinion, I guess. Not medical. So if you're listening to this is the disclaimer. Do not take this as a medical advice. Once you have it, do you feel like you've built an immunity to it? Like, do you think that it's like it's like chicken pox? Once you get it, it's like, all right, I got it. Now my body can fight it off. And is it the rare situation where you can get it again? But like, or do you think like, you're still vulnerable to it?
Oh, I mean, you can still be vulnerable to it because you have like the statistics, which is just really, really low for reinfection.
Mm-hmm.
It's just extremely, extremely low. Like, if it's you're a very unlucky person.
Yeah.
reinfected kind of thing.
Because I haven't heard any stats
that-
from reinfections. Like I haven't heard anyone saying, "Yeah, it's my second time getting it." You know what I mean? I feel like that would be all over the
it's
news.
like
if that was the case,
for
right?
like I don't know, it's like for 1,000 people, like like 2,000 people who have received it might possibly get reinfection.
Yeah.
So it's extremely low. My only main concern would be, which is why I'm still wearing a mask while I go for my morning walks, would be the second, the mutated strain.
Yeah.
That's coming around right now.
Now,
And obviously, we don't know how dangerous that is, if it's just as dangerous, if it's more mild. We don't really know at this point. There's not enough information.
No, there
We won't
isn't.
have enough information on it.
Like they say it's more contagious, but it's not as lethal. But like you said, we really don't know. But how do we not know? How do we know that some of the cases that have been around for the last few months weren't this mutated strain, but they just weren't testing for it because it came up positive on the test, and you wouldn't really know? Like, isn't that kind of? I mean, to me, it seems like it's a weird gray area where it's like, how do you know?
Odds are that, like, the new strains probably was the new strain.
Possibly.
Again, we don't know.
No one knows. Yeah, there's no really way to there's no blueprint of
Odds are the symptoms are probably the same because it's coming from like the same kind of virus.
Yeah.
That's in that family. So even if we get tested for the coronavirus, it might not necessarily test for that kind of strain, but it'll still test for those same symptoms. Do
any of you guys find it kind of weird that like it's a virus that you have like a 99% chance of surviving if you're fairly healthy, right? But we're all taking precautions for this, right? But in the 80s, you had the AIDS virus or the HIV that all you had to do was wear a rubber and you're probably going to be okay. But we didn't do that.
We're still not doing that.
Yes. I mean, isn't it kind of ironic when it has to do with like the situation? Like, it's like, I don't know, like you'd wear a mask. Like there's probably some guys out there that will wear, or guys and girls who insist on wearing a mask, but like they'll raw dog with a stranger with no hesitation.
True.
And the latter is more deadly. Like if you got like HIV, it's almost like I know like, you can survive it, but it's not like it's still not curable.
Yeah, it's treatable now. It's no longer an automatic death sentence, I don't think.
Unless you're prepping up. Step up and prep up. I mean, Jesus. I mean, I just thought it was ironic. I know the two were completely different, but they're both viruses when you think about it. It's like we're taking such overwhelming precaution for one, but the other one was like, yeah, whatever. We'll fuck it.
I think part of it is, one of which is it just became so common. You're not, somebody gets diagnosed with AIDS tomorrow, we're not going to hear about it because it's too common. It's very, very common at this point.
Dodging that bullet in my 20s.
And the other thing along with that is, you still have like the whole risk and reward thing. Again, I don't understand that because I haven't engaged in it. But there's like some uncomfortability with wearing the mask. Sure, I get that. And there's some people who have asthmatic, and it's even more uncomfortable for them to be wearing masks to be taking those precautions.
Yeah.
And then I think just like the risk and reward for the opposite for the AIDS is on a much wider scale, where people aren't going to be concerned that much because they think, well, it's treatable now, so who cares?
Well, it's funny too, but like in the early 80s when it first came around, people didn't know anything about the virus too. They didn't know if it was airborne. They didn't really know if it was like, what I mean? It was such no information. And I feel like, unfortunately, like time will go on about this current virus we're living in and realize that it was so much more fear put in front of it than it was actually, value to have that fear, I guess you could say. I guess that's stuff you only learn in time, but like we'll look back at it in 5 years and be like, it was a bad virus, but
exactly. Yeah,
it wasn't
more studies
as bad as people painted it to be. Like you didn't have to close down the entire country. You could have. It's like, it's Monday morning quarterbacking at that point, I guess. But I guess you really don't know until,
Yeah, that's true.
I know.
Yeah. Like everything's always scary in the time because you don't know.
You don't know, yeah.
What it is, you don't know
That's the
how
worst
bad
part.
it's going to be.
Yeah. 'Cause at least if like your doctor told you like tomorrow you have like cancer, right? At least cancer's been around for so long that like you have like an idea of like, all right, and then they have a procedure in which for you to either get rid of your cancer or go to the funeral home and pick out your casket, depending on how bad the cancer is. But there's like an understanding to it because there's a known. The only unknown you don't know is if you're going to survive it or not. But you know that people know enough about it to be able to fix it one way or another. And I guess with this, you just don't know anything about it. So it's just like I don't know how to fix this. I don't know what the long-term effects are going to be. I guess that's the scary part is the unknown. I guess that's why people are scared. Scared, motherfucker. Scared like shit. I get scared of the dark, and I'm 36 years old. So I mean, fuck, who the hell am I to be scared of? Talking about people scared of shit, right?
Yeah.
I have a nightlight in my room, Kacy, just in case.
I'm sure you do, especially after all those nights, almost getting T-boned by a 16-wheeler.
Yeah, there's nothing. I'm going to tell you honestly, there's nothing that scares me more than the dark, and I think it's a psychological thing that fucks with me. I think that's what it is. So, but we're at the point where we should end the show, and Kacy, I'm going to give you some time to plug whatever you have going on. I know you have your books that you're working on; they're out there on Amazon. You can buy. How were your sales during the Christmas break? Did you get some sales?
Most of my sales actually were before the before Thanksgiving, actually.
Nice.
So I ended up selling about 38 copies over the break. And so I guess I'll talk a little bit about it, and I'll drop a link right in here. It was compared rather favorably to both The Wheel of Time and my personal favorite, The Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
Which is always very, very exciting. I'm very proud of that. Not by somebody I know. So that's an unbiased 5-star review right there. All right, so this is also an unbiased review, but this is a professional one. The desecration of the world is a dark land pushed towards a moral quagmire, blurring the lines between good and evil. In the desecration of the world, the magical land shudders under the unrelenting attack of a demonic army. Alcathos has seen better days. Even its more prosperous cities feature far more squalor than comfort. Ben Kanasa, the oldest forest, falls into an army of darkness, turning the green lands into black iron, which is led by the Darklets. Xenos is in danger too, as the corrupt hour marches south to seize its last elven lands.
That's a lot to take in. I have no idea. I want to know what you're talking about. I want to know what you're talking about, but I don't.
This is a review. This is how someone reviews.
So I got to read this thing.
One of your.
But I do have to go soon.
Yeah. We're running short on time. So you told us about. You give us. I just want to know how you can get this if you want. Let the crowd, let the audience decide on their own. I mean, we could do a show where you just sit there and you could verbally read the books.
Verbally read my book?
Yeah, we like a book on tape with the author. We could do that sometime.
So a live reading with Adam and the Dead Eric's feedback.
That's right. Yeah, we could do like kind of like a director's, in the director's cut when they talk.
The one that doesn't make it in the bookstores.
That's right.
That'll be a very long ebook.
So you
can get it on Amazon.
Okay, what are we searching on Amazon? I got to go to Amazon right now. I'm going to buy this book. What am I typing in?
You're going to type in The Desecration of the World.
Okay.
And the cover is going to be written underneath the pen name Armanis Ar-feinial, a name that Arty here can't pronounce.
Never pronounce correctly. Never.
You can't pronounce my last name right either.
I can't pronounce many words right if you haven't known that.
And it's going to be written underneath Armanis Ar-feinial. That's going to be the pen name that you can find it under. And you can find my other books underneath that name also. I am still donating 75% of all the proceeds.
That's right. Yeah, you're doing it to the food bank, right?
Up until the end of April.
Nice.
And from there, so my other books you can get in other retailers like Barnes and Nobles, and as well as like Goodreads, you can purchase it there too. But as of right now, it is strictly only through the online retailers that you can get. They're not in bookstores, even though most of those are closed right now, except maybe Barnes and Nobles, for obvious reasons because they've got coffee there. And as we all know, coffee is essential.
Absolutely. Cool. All right. Adam, what are you plugging?
Check out the World and Potato on YouTube. Got some new content I'm working on coming out soon. Done.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, thank you for watching. It's been a great show. Thank you, Kacy, for joining us last minute. Hopefully next week when we're on, the world's not over and we can still successfully do the show without anyone censoring us. So that's always a good thing. iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, all that stuff. Check it out. It's Arty 84 Show, thepacky.com, and we'll see you guys next week. Have a good week.
Sounds good.
Bye.
Bye.